Success in social media is more than big numbers. It's about genuine human connection and engagement. Tamara McCleary. On today's episode, we are specifically talking about how to grow your Instagram following. And if you consider yourself a business owner, social media is part of your life whether you like it or not. Why not learn the best way to use it to truly impact your business's bottom line? You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This episode is being brought to you by BidKid.School. What are your kids up to this summer? If you find that they like being on their devices like mine do, check out vidkid.school. That's vidkid.school, where they can learn how to animate, edit, and create their own YouTube videos, and perhaps get monetized and become entrepreneurs themselves. That is www.vidkid.school. Link is in the show notes. Spending 8 years in corporate sales and a number of years as a college instructor in business, project management, and marketing, my guest today found herself falling into entrepreneurship. Coining herself an accidental entrepreneur, Antonia Semanskee, or Toni as we like to call her, is on a mission to change the mindset and reputation around social media marketing. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Hi, Toni. I am beyond excited to have you join me on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Monica. I am thrilled to be here.
Yes. I feel like the information that you have all in your head and that you're presenting to the world is something we all need as small business owners. So why don't you start by telling me about how you started your business and what problem you were trying to solve?
Okay. Well, when I first started my business, I didn't intend to start a business, but I had a kind of a hostile work environment. And so when COVID hit, it was a perfect time to transition. I had been consulting with small businesses, writing marketing plans and grants and things like that. And I was like, I don't really like this very much. It doesn't really help. And so when COVID hit and I was home, I realized that, what's your why? And my why was to help women get out of bad jobs or really toxic work environments and to be able to be home with their children and do a job that would help them to dream about the next thing. And so I thought, how can I do that? I can help them do online marketing because anybody can do that. So I dug in deep into Instagram and I realized that businesses were using it wrong and social media managers weren't getting results for themselves and they weren't getting them for their clients because they weren't connecting the dots between the business goals and marketing goals of the business and the platform objectives. And so I started really digging deep into the data and figuring out what's the point of it? As a business, it's not about selfies and it's not about dancing. Why would anybody buy from you? And it's that trust element. And how do you do that? It's by developing a brand that's an authority and that's known as an expert. And so that's what I started teaching people because I was an expert in a few different areas of business. And then I got to be an expert in Instagram engagement, which I guess it should have been planned. I should have noticed that. I should have figured that was going to happen because I'm really social and I always have been. But once I figured out that the engagement piece was really important and I started doing engagement for clients, I realized that the content didn't have substance. Engagement didn't work because there was nothing to engage with. So that's when I dug deep into the content piece and figured out that, you need to solve problems. I mean, that's the number one thing that people come to you for, that would be prospects. And so that's what I started doing. I started solving the problems of the social media managers on Instagram, and I started building a following, and I got to be known as the engagement and authority expert. I realized that this can be taught. And I can help women make a lot of money, attract really high-paying clients if they know how to use the content right. And so that's kind of where it started. And now it's just kind of taken off and it's a lot of fun.
Okay. You're helping other women get into creating engagement or teaching them that? Or are you helping companies with their engagement or both?
That's a really good question. Thanks for telling me that I wasn't clear, because that happens sometimes, because it's hard to just define what I do. For businesses that don't want to be social media managers, I help them by defining their expertise and helping them to be seen as experts. So I create content that helps businesses be seen as experts. And I teach them really simple engagement strategies, or I train their people. So my goal is to be with larger corporate companies, training their teams so that I have all the pieces of the puzzle there, the copywriter, the designers, the marketing people, and getting them to do that mindset switch around the content, and then helping them with the content pillars, and then training them on how to make educational and informational infographics and carousels. And the other parts of Instagram, the inspirational quotes and motivational things, they can do that on their own, because everybody knows how to do that. And then
Gotcha.
The other part of the business is to help social media managers get results in their own accounts and build authority with whatever area they do with the social media.
Okay.
Like oftentimes they're in a certain industry, like maybe a fitness social media manager, they handle only that industry, but they need to show fitness businesses that they know how to build authority and trust and be seen as an expert in that industry. And so I train them to get to that place where they know how to do it for their industry, and they get to be the best in their industry. That's my goal, is to have everybody like stand out with a unique selling proposition as a social media manager too, because you can.
Gotcha. If I'm at a company and I'm working in the department that's handling the social media for my company, but be it large or small, I know you said you're working with larger companies, but you're helping those people know the branded content to put out. They aren't putting out anything that doesn't speak to the brand or doesn't make them an authority in whatever market they're in. Am I right? Am I understanding?
Yes, I work with all different size businesses, because some businesses really just, they need to get started, and they're service-based business that needs to understand that they may not want to, but they know that it's important and they can't quite hire somebody yet. So I will also train business owners how to do it really simply, so that I'll create the templates, I'll get them started, and then they just have to post and do their engagement and kind of move from there. Larger companies, it would be a lot more people involved in the process, but it's all about shifting that mindset from creating content that is lifestyle, that is inspirational, that is motivational and promotional, to creating content that solves problems for your end user, your ultimate prospect. Because what happens is when you shift the goal from getting people to like you to solving problems for your prospects, a couple things happen. Your prospects will come to your account, and if you do it right, your peers and your industry experts will become part of your community, and they will support your content. They will validate your knowledge, so that when the prospects are kind of vetting you out, kind of anonymously, it happens a lot, they see, oh, this person has really good tips. I've tried a couple of them. They really work. And the industry experts are validating that. They know how to solve my problem. And, oh, by the way, I like their brand. Their brand resonates with me. So I'm going to give them a call, or schedule a strategy call, or talk to them in the DMs about how they can help me. So your prospects come to you, and your community members also send you referrals. So it's kind of a win-win. You develop these long-term relationships with people in your industry who respect you and who see you as a thought leader. And when they have a client that they either can't handle because they're too busy, or it's an area where they don't do what I do, they send them to me.
That's
building
great.
A community of authority and social proof through your peers by solving your end user problems is really the only way a business should be using social media, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I find that fascinating, because so many of us are on social media and we are trying to inspire. And I know for me, that's where I started. I started with the motivational quotes, and I've had the pleasure of beginning to work with you. And I totally get it. I totally understand where I need to be. It's just getting there. Let's back up a little bit, because I know your business, Crush Your Engagement. Thinking about my end user of listening to this podcast, can you tell us first what engagement means?
Engagement is defined on Instagram as likes plus comments, right? But it's so much more than that, because the algorithm looks at likes plus comments, but it also looks at relationships. How close is the relationship? How often do they communicate? Where do they communicate? So you and I are following one another. We are on each other's close friends lists. So that is also deepening that relationship. We're in each other's comments and we're in each other's DMs. We're sharing each other's content. I mean, that is a really close relationship. And so with that, Instagram sees that, oh, we're in the same industry. We are closely connected. It's more likely to send my content to your people and vice versa. And when you share each other's content, that also adds another kind of element to your engagement. It's about the likes and the comments if you're talking algorithm. It's about all the different ways that people interact with your content. But it's so much bigger than that, because those relationships that you build in the back end, in the DMs, the collaborations that you do, the interviews that you get on IG Lives, all of those pieces fit into the brand of engagement for your own brand. That's one piece, is commenting, replying to comments, talking to people in the DMs, how to do it right, how not to do it, and then how to nurture your community, which is there's outreach and there's nurturing, and a business needs to start with the nurturing. They need to take care of the people who are their followers. They need to comment really thoughtful, good, quality comments on their posts. And then you train your people, your followers, how to talk to you in your posts by doing that. And when you're really giving them value in their own comments, they feel obligated to come to your content and really look for the value in it and share that. And that is what your prospects will see when they come to your account.
That's a lot of meat there, Toni.
It's a bit,
but seriously, when we're talking about engagement, especially for those of us who, are running a business, such as yourself, and I know you have a very strict schedule for yourself with engagement, but I sometimes feel like I'm all over the place. What type of suggestions do you have for those of us who are kind of all over the place for engaging with our people, our community? And then I have another question after that too.
Okay, so I'll address the first one. And it's when I work with a client that's as busy as you are, I have several that are like you are there. They don't have a big team. They don't have a team that's handling this particular piece right now. And frankly, I don't want other people handling their engagement anyway, because those relationships are key and they are so valuable, and you can't have somebody else building those relationships for you, because it's you that they want to connect with. That said, when I set up an account and I create their content for them, I sit them down and say, okay, how many days a week can you promise me, can you commit to engaging for 15 to 30 minutes, four times a day?
Okay.
And we figure out what days they can put aside that they can guarantee, because you don't want to post if you can't do that, because your post content won't go anywhere if it's not engaged with and you're not engaging. You have to keep coming back throughout the day and kind of reactivating that engagement to push it out. So if you're posting, then if you're not engaging at least 4 times a day, then your post is less likely to get anywhere, because it's all the engagement that makes the post reach new audiences, which is the goal of our post, is to reach people that don't know who we are and to come and follow us and check out our content and see what we have to offer. They determine, okay, I can do this twice a week. Great. So twice a week, we're going to have you post at such and such time. And for me, I think it's more important to post when you can commit than to post when when the most number of your audience members are online. For instance, I should be posting at 5 a.m. I'm on the West Coast, and my people are online at 5 and 6 a.m. because they're, East Coast and forward. I'm the last person to wake up. But I realize that for me, that isn't going to work, because I'm a night person and I just cannot function like that. Right. So I set a time that between 8 and 9 a.m. is my posting time. So I can get up, I can have coffee, and no, everybody's not there. But that's okay, because the algorithm has recognized that, between 8 and 9, this account posts, and this is the kind of engagement that happens, and my audience knows when to expect it, so they know. Of course, there's other cues that will help them to know that my post is live, but for the most part, they know that it's in the morning, 8 to 9 a.m. on Pacific Coast time, 5 to 6 days a week, that they can expect some kind of content from Crush Your Engagement. So it's more important that you post on the days when you can commit than to post every day and not have engagement, because that will just destroy your account. You won't grow at all. It's just a waste of time and energy.
So you do recommend, though, whatever those days are that you pick, that you're posting around the same time on those days?
Yeah, it's more consistent.
More consistent.
That's what works for me. Everybody's different, but for me, the algorithm really took off when I was constantly consistent and my activity was consistent and my audience was consistent, because they knew when to come and engage with my content. If it was the same time, if it was moving around, then they wouldn't necessarily be there. So it kind of all works together.
Gotcha. And when you say send to, like you mentioned, my content being sent to your people and vice versa, what does that mean? Is that when you're on Instagram and you see new people kind of in your scroll that you haven't seen before? And then sometimes it'll say that they're being followed by some of your friends or your people.
You will see people in your feed. I'm pretty sure. I haven't actually checked that part out because I really don't pay attention to that. But what happens is when you're closely connected and you're commenting in their content and you're sharing their content, your community members will go check them out, and your community members will go see, oh, do I want to follow them? Do I want them as part of my community? So it ends up, when you're closely connected and you're sharing content and you're commenting on not only on their content, but you're commenting with the people in their community, strategically, people that you really want to build relationships with, your community starts to merge with their community. Right. And the communities get bigger and more friends are made and more collaborations are happening. And it's just really a positive result for everybody involved to build those relationships with people inside and outside your community.
Got it. Okay. Well, I still have a lot of work to do, but it's okay. I'm just one day at a time. But I do think one of the things that I need to do is start with picking the days and being consistent with my timing. So, Toni, do you recommend to your clients to already have their posts ready to go before they actually start the engagement process for the day?
Well, because I make their content, I make their educational and informational content, that is, their fun reels and inspirational stuff they do themselves. It's ready. It's in a Trello board. All they have to do is download it. But yes, you want to make sure that your content's ready to go, because what you want to do, and here's a little secret to getting engagement like real quick on your content, is you go into your homepage and you see all the circles at the top that are the stories of people that are in your community. And you strategically tap on the people that you know are good engagers. They're people that support you, people that you want to support and build relationships with. And you tap on their stories and you just go through their stories and you leave little comments or emojis that activates that relationship in the DMs, because that's where that goes.
Okay.
And what happens is when you do that, then you post and you have communications in the DMs, your post shows up in their home feed.
Oh, okay.
And then once you do that, you want to activate the people from that posted, or the people that communicated with your most previous posts, like mine would be yesterday's. So I would go to yesterday's post and I had already commented or responded to comments, but I'd go through and then I'd click the little heart next to their comment and I would like it, which also activates that same thing where it says, oh, this post is activated again. So there's engagement happening on it. And those people start to see, it may or may not be shown in their feed that I haven't really actually checked out, but what it does is it activates engagement on my account. And when they start seeing that engagement, then they pop over to my page and they go to the newest post and they make a comment. So there's little tricks that you do before and after when you post.
Got it. Okay. So this is the question that I personally have as a business owner, and I'm sure lots of business owners have around this, is how does engaging properly affect the bottom line in your business or in our businesses? Like, what have you seen when it comes to your clients? How is that impacting the bottom line at the end of the day?
It was really surprising to me, the power that engagement has in your business online. What happens is when you have a highly engaged community and really like valuable content, there's a few things that happen. Your prospects are vetting you out. They're checking you out to see if you're any good. And once they realize that, yes, you're somebody that they can trust to solve their problem, that you have integrity and you're going to do what you say you're going to do. You've shown that in your content. You've shown that in your relationships. And oh, by the way, they like your brand. you're going to end up with strategy calls on your calendar, which happens to me every day. I have at least 3 times a week, a new strategy call with somebody. I don't even know who they are. And they just show up on my calendar, and I have to like do some digging and research to find out like, who is this person? And there's a question, why are you choosing me? Why do you want to talk to me? And they're like, your content was amazing. Your engagement is really high. People really respect you and value your opinion. And you look like the kind of person that can help me because your content helps me.
Gotcha.
So that happens. And then you end up with referrals, like I mentioned in the beginning, with like you and I are in each other's community, and we have different services. And so when I have a client that needs to set up a business strategy the way that you do, I wouldn't try to attempt that myself. I'm going to look for somebody in my community that I trust, that I know can do that job so that I look good, and then you get the business, and vice versa. So you get referrals from your peers. Oftentimes the larger accounts that are really big, they'll send you business just because they trust you and they think you're a better fit than they would be for a particular client. And you get, oh my gosh, so many other benefits. Like for instance, I'm getting free PR all the time. People are calling me and sending me requests for podcasts and live interviews and interviews on their pages. I got a request to write an article for an e-magazine a couple months ago. I'm having companies reach out to me, either asking me to be their affiliate, asking what my rates are for influencer marketing, or can we send you this free stuff? Will you look at it and see if you would be interested in like talking to us about a paid collaboration? Like this little ring I'm wearing right now, which I thought of you guys when I got it. It's a little crown. It was one of the companies that reached out to me. And I said, sure, I'll look at your products and see if it'd be something I'd be willing to represent. But it was really cute, and I like it. It's a fun little ring. And I'll probably, give an honest review on my page and say, hey, for any of the queens out there, they have a tribe, queen women, like this is a really cute ring to get.
Nice.
Blah, blah, blah. And I get all kinds of free software memberships. Like I have one to Meta Hashtags right now, where it's a really good hashtag site. And they sent me a year of their, highest paid membership just to try it out, to see if I would like to be if I'd like to represent that brand. Cause I'm like, I can't like tell you if I want to be your affiliate or be your influencer if I don't know if it works, because, that's your reputation on the line.
Exactly. That makes perfect sense.
Yes. You end up with so many opportunities you wouldn't otherwise have if you have that brand reputation and that community that is closely engaged with you and your brand.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Do you feel like this works for a product-based business as well as a service-based business? And the reason I ask this question is because one of my businesses, we are primarily posting, things that we've created. And thankfully, people will comment back and say, oh, that's beautiful, or they like it, they love it, they share it. They'll say, oh, you guys have such great quality work. So we're not necessarily sharing educational things. We're just posting these beautiful things that we've made. Do you feel like that same engagement is needed even on a product-based business like that?
I believe that you can have that same engagement, and here's how it would work. Let's take Sherwin-Williams paint. Paint stores. Okay. So they are a product-based business, and they have an Instagram page, and they have Joe from the store, the local store in Mill Creek near me, who is running that store and running that Instagram page. And so he starts putting content about, instead of just posting pictures of what the paint looks like and where it can be used, he starts posting content like a carousel, maybe post of how to choose the right shade of yellow or gray, some of those colors that are really, really hard to match. Or what brushes do you use to do your corners? What kinds of rollers are the best for the different textures? So you educate your audience on all the techniques that they can use and the best products and what they're used for. And so for like your business, your educational content could be something like, this is how it's made. These are the materials that we use. This is why we use them. This is where they come from. These are the kinds of people that use our products, and this is why. This is how it, helps them, makes their community better, because I know it's based around, what's the
fraternities and sororities.
Thank you. Thank you. It really helps you to stand out. I mean, and why you would want to have that. So you talk to the fraternities and the sororities. You also talk about the fraternities and the sororities that you've worked with and why and what they're all about. And do their values match your business values? Because we work with people that have the same values that we do, right? And you talk about your community and how you help your community because of this, or how do you give back? People want to see that stuff. They want to know why they should buy from you versus somebody down the road that does the same thing. And it's all about those values and that feeling of community. And you can provide that by creating this educational, informational content about like what's happening in the industry. Maybe the prices of the thread that you use is going to go up because of something happening in Russia. You can talk about that and say, hey, this is what's happening. It's affecting our prices. What do you think about that? Get people's opinions. Right. So it's just bringing people into the community. And back to the Sherwin-Williams, if I'm watching Joe's page and I'm seeing him post all these great tips, and I have a question with my deck, I'm going to stain my deck. Who do you think I'm going to go to? I'm going to go to Joe. I'm going to ask him a question in the DMs. He's going to say, come on in and let me help you. I'll show you all the stuff we have. And who do you think you're always going to buy your paint from? It's going to be Joe.
You're going to go get it from Joe.
So you create an online community around your brick and mortar demographic community. And so it kind of merges the two together. And so it can be a beautiful thing. And if you use it right, it can bring you so much business. Yeah. But it's about helping people solve problems first and foremost.
I love that. And I made some notes here, Toni, because I'm going to think through how to do that on a consistent basis with our brick and mortar, because we definitely post the beautiful jackets and shirts. And we, like I said before, we get the comments, and I do know that people come in because of that. But if we can grow an even greater community,
yes,
then that would be, of course, even better. Yeah.
Pillars could be community outreach, because I know you guys reach out to your community a lot, and you'd be talking about the things that you do and those relationships that you build with your community members. That's huge. Community outreach, what our values are, why we do this. Right. Why do these college students attract us? Why do we want to help them? What is it that we're getting from helping them? Because people want to know that stuff.
That's true.
That's how you build that long-term relationship and that long-term loyalty, when people resonate with who you are as a business.
Yes, I love that. Okay. Well, I have a homework assignment. Thank you, Toni.
I'm just a DM away.
No, I love that. Okay. I think this is going to be my last question, but it depends, because if you say something, I might have more. But what is one thing we can do today as business owners to make a difference in our social media engagement?
Oh, one thing. Oh my gosh, I have 5.
Okay, I'll take 5. 5 words.
It's a whole thing. First of all, it's having a mindset shift. Instead of having an idea that I'm going to have a presence, and I put quotes around it loosely on social media, shift your mind to social media dominance in your industry. So it's not about just posting stuff to have your face out there. It's about, how can I dominate my industry with my brand from the right people that will buy from me? And how you do that is that you have a clear brand. You have clear brand values, a clear brand voice. You have clear brand emotions that you want to evoke when people interact with your brand. And you have that branded with specific colors and fonts on Instagram. And you have a clear message about how your content will help them, not about what your business does, but the tips that you can provide to make their life better in some way and solve their problems. And then number 4, which is 2, I put 2 together, building relationships with those industry experts and industry peers is first and foremost. Don't chase your prospects, leave them alone. They don't want to hear from you. They're going to run as fast as they can because they know that you're chasing them for a sale. You can lure them in by building a brand that is trusted and valued in the community and in the industry. And then the last thing is to learn how to read and use your metrics, know your data. That's how you meet your marketing goals and your business objectives through the platform, is to understand what's working and what's not and why, and then how to change it and fix it and adjust, because the Instagram algorithm, is changing all the time. So you have to be able to shift and turn on a dime to meet those requirements.
Yes. And so that, of course, leads me to more questions, but just real quick, I want to clarify some things. So for number 1, we had dominance. I just wrote dominance, but underneath that, because you went from like 1 to 4, but I know you said some other stuff in there. So what would you say was 2 and 3? I just want to make sure I don't miss them.
Yes. Number 1 is clear brand, values, voice, and emotions. Number 2 is a clear message about how your content helps. Number 3 is the content solves the problems of your ideal audience. Number 4 was building relationships with industry peers. And number 5 was data, know how to use data. So I kind of like smooshed them all together a little bit there.
I got you. No, but that was great because I personally really like that word dominance. Like that really stood out to me. It struck a chord because I've never really thought about it like that, but I really do like that. Now, when you talk about reading and understanding the metrics, are you referring to where you dive into Instagram kind of on the back end under your settings?
Yes, exactly. That little place that says Instagram Insights, you tap on that, you can see everything about your account there. You can see which content is getting the most reach, which is a really like the metrics that I am most concerned with is reach and it saves and it's profile visits, of course, and it's comments. All the rest of it, I don't care.
Okay.
But if I'm getting those metrics met, then I know my content is going out to new people. I know those people find it valuable and they're coming back to my page. I know that once they get to the page, they're following me and then they're starting to maybe interact with my account. Or once they get there, if they're a prospect, they may not ever follow me. They may not ever comment, but they're showing up on my calendar and that's way more important. So if you know what works, then you're going to be able to create the kind of content that your community values. But there's a lot that goes into that. And that's probably for a whole nother podcast, copywriting, design, all of the pieces that go together on how to make it not only valuable and interesting, but to how to make it pretty in a way, like how to make it catch their eyes is really another piece of the puzzle.
When you talk about metrics, is there somewhere like, let's say reach, saves, visits, what's a good number? Like, is there a place where I can find out if I'm winning or if I'm losing or what's happening?
Every account is different, right? I mean, because you could say there's this, like you should reach this percentage of your followers, but it doesn't really matter if you're reaching 0. So what you do is you go to the insights page and you pull up the last maybe 6 months. It depends on how old your account is. I've been around for 2 years. I want to know what's happening in the last 3 to 6 months. I want to know what posts are really doing it for me. But a newer account is going to pull up, the whole 6 months to a year, and they're going to see which posts get the highest reach. So I keep a data sheet, as you know, I'm a big data girl. You get that. Yes. And I started that data the day that I started my Instagram account, not even knowing how I would use it. And I tracked things that weren't on the insights, like time of day, day of the week. What was the post purpose? What was the post objective? What was the topic? And then, of course, all the other things that you get, the reach and all those other metrics. And so I could pull up my spreadsheet and I could filter on, which post got the most reach. Well, okay, if I'm looking at reach and I also want to know how many got saved, which one was really valuable and which one reached the most and which one was most valuable, I can filter by those 2 things and I can see which posts did both. And I can look at why that is. Is it the topic? Is it that is it the format? Maybe it was a carousel. Maybe it was a reel. Well, for me, it wouldn't be a reel. Maybe it was an infographic. What was the design like? Was it, what was the purpose of the post? What were they getting from it? And then I can recreate more of the same kinds of content that I know people really find valuable. You can do the same with all the other metrics too, but you can cross-reference it if you're keeping a data sheet. But you're looking at the top posts if you're just using Instagram. Top posts of your top reach, your top saves, your top profile visits. If you're really interested in creating content that gets shares, which I'm not great at, then you'd be looking at the shares and what time of day did I post? What day of the week? Do Mondays get more saves than shares? You can look at those metrics and kind of play with them and to see, oh, I know that on Wednesdays, I get a lot of profile visits.
Okay.
And I post carousels that day because those work with that. You know what I mean? So you can start to figure out what days, what times, what formats. And then of course the topics are valuable too, which, it tells you what they like and what they want to know.
Got it. Okay. So another homework assignment for me. I need to go dive into my metrics. I have not done that before, other than when you've gone over with us in the past when we've been together. And, that was really interesting, but I don't really look at that page a lot. And I should, because I don't really know what's performing well and what's not.
It's like patterns, it's not necessarily each individual post, but it's the patterns you see. And that's where the data sheet, I think I sent you the template. I'll send it to you if you don't have it. It takes 2 minutes to record your data from your post and your engagement from yesterday's post, right? It takes 2 minutes to do both. I put it on a reel, I timed it, takes 2 minutes. So if you can put 2 minutes a day, right before you post and right after you post, total a minute each, you'll have it. And then you can go back later and you can analyze the patterns in the data.
Wow.
Once you have that information in there.
That's amazing. I will talk to you about that, Toni. Now, don't you have a class around this stuff too? Or
yes,
you're launching a class?
Yes, I'm actually developing a certification program for social media managers.
Okay.
Because what I learned was the only people who really want to know what I do and know it to the level that I know it are the people who need to use it, who need to do it as a living. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't even sure why I created this course first, but it's starting to make some sense to me now. And I created my very first course in the program, and it's how to create 30 posts from one topic. And it's all about educational, informational content. And I take them through 8 modules. It's how to find the topic, how to find the problem, how to research, how to do the keywords, how to write the captions, how to get the right hashtags, how to design an infographic so that it gets looked at and it grabs attention. And then at the end, I give a couple extra modules that are how to repurpose it into a carousel and then how to repurpose it into a reel. So you end up with 30 topics, but really it's 90. Because most of them do repurpose 3 times. It's not an easy course to do because it takes time to do a lot of that, but I teach them. And if somebody wants to find out how to do, like I did 44 ways to talk about engagement. Really, I've done more than 44, but I got bored with looking at all my old posts, but I pulled up like all the different ways I talked about engagement. And then I made this, and I went, oh my gosh, I can show people how to do this with one topic, one problem that they solve. And so that's where the idea for the course came from. So that's the first step in running a really effective social media account, is that content comes first. Content first, then engagement. And of course, the data piece is there as well, but content first always.
Well, and that makes sense. And I will say crush_your_engagement is your Instagram. And I follow you because I do learn a lot from your content, and your content is so rich and just rich with information. I love it. So I appreciate all that you share. And I think for those of us who aren't social media managers, but we do have small businesses, it's important for us to understand and know this information so that we can grow our business.
Yes.
It's really important.
It's true. So. And I usually help my clients that are the smaller ones. I create content for them, like a 36 post package. And as I create it, I train them on the basics of how they can do it so that they can leave with content that's created, and then they know how to move forward. And I coach them throughout the process. And then if they want to continue the coaching as they go, because once, the end of your 4 months or 3 months is done, you're kind of out there. But most people say, okay, I need to keep you because I still don't quite know what I'm doing. So you just kind of work on the things as you go and getting better and better. I also have been training people's VAs because they don't have time to do it, but they want somebody designated. And that's a great way to have somebody if one person is the voice of your business on Instagram, and you know that they can learn your industry inside and out, then it works really well.
That is so good, Toni. And I do appreciate your time today. Talking about this is so important because social media is part of our lives. It's not going away. If anything, it's just growing.
Yes.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And so we've got to be a part of it if we want our businesses to be successful. So I'm so grateful for just all of your information you shared today. Thank you so much.
It has been my pleasure. I'm on such a mission to change the mindset of businesses and how they view social media. It's not a place for selfies and dancing anymore, especially if you're a business. And thank you for giving me the platform to be able to say that to people who will hear it and say, oh, there's a better way. I can get results.
Yes, because I don't want to dance.
I don't want to dance. I don't want to point.
Thank you so much, Toni.
Thank you.
I want to thank Toni for coming onto the podcast and sharing her knowledge around Instagram growth and engagement. To get in touch with Toni, you can see the show notes for all of her contact information. Before I met Toni, I really thought that growing on social media and having a social media presence was very difficult. But what I have likened it to at this point is it's actually very similar to just growing a business. Now, follow along with me here. Of course, social media is a part of us doing business, but just like in our businesses, and this is what Toni pointed out, is on our posting, we must be solving a problem for someone. If we're using social media beyond simply entertaining people with dances and things like that, then we must be solving a problem. If you are dancing, then you are entertaining people. But if you are trying to grow your business and grow your expertise, you must be solving a problem for someone. The second thing is we must focus on making genuine connections and build relationships. Toni mentioned that the algorithm looks at how people interact with your content. Well, similarly in business, how you interact with your customer and how your customer interacts with you greatly impacts your business. For example, positive interactions means excellent reviews and steady growth, if not accelerated growth. The opposite of that, meaning not so great reviews or poor interactions with your customers, results in declining business. It results in a lack of engagement, a lack of positive discussions around your business. And another thing is branding. This is one of the things that I never really thought about with my Instagram page. I never really thought about the look, the feel being similar. Of course, I would look at people's beautiful pages and think, oh, wow, this is so curated and it looks so nice. They're using the same brand colors. But I never really gave it a lot of thought as far as fonts. I think about it in my business. My logo on my boxes are the same. My logos that go on my products are the same. So why wouldn't our Instagram pages be very similar? Because we're building brand recognition. So I love all of these insights that Toni shared. They're truly fabulous. And I truly appreciate her for coming on the podcast and sharing her insights with us today. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to check out this week's episode sponsor, vidkid.school. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, please take a moment to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Become Your Own Boss Podcast. Also, take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. I know I ask you all to do this every week, but rating and reviewing the podcast helps it to grow. If you have a couple of minutes to write a review, that would be greatly appreciated. I would like to know what makes you listen to the podcast, what you like, what you don't like, all the goods. Also, subscribing ensures that you do not miss an episode. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.